Francesca, Fondse, thank you so much for joining us today at Collective Action Magazine. We're here at the Presidential Summit on Gender-Based Violence, the second edition of it, 2022. Just a bit of, just an introductory to who you are. You are the national champion for women in the Justice Department, and you also run an organization called Women Integral Network. Tell us a bit about yourself, Francesca, and who you are, what you do in your space.
Okay, I basically evolved from an anti-apartheid activist to a human rights activist, and then when approached by the Department of Justice, very much a gender activist. There is a difference between gender activism and feminism. I am a gender activist. I regard myself as a gender activist, but I am prepared to work with men who are of the same mind. It is not a harsh feminist perspective, but I have respect for everybody and all their views. I was approached by the Department of Justice in 2016 after I was apparently nominated by various women's organizations for their request for a national champion for women. It was a precursor to the first presidential summit. It was after 2015 when the UN rapporteur really gave us a lashing as South Africa, as a country that we are not doing enough with regards to gender-based violence, and also that we were legislatively not comprehensive enough to deal with the scourge. So subsequent to that, the Department of Justice formed the intersectorial committee, to which most first responder departments were party of, myself, and also other very prominent NPOs like Mosaic, Not in My Name, Dad's in the Picture, and we all formed part of that committee that eventually went through the 4 years that it took to amend the Gender-Based Violence Acts as we've seen them promulgated today. With regards to that, it was a massively interesting learning curve, and it added to my lens of human rights, and it also enriched my life as a member of United Nations Global Compact, which is the business silo of the UN, the greater UN, and my interactions there, because now awareness of GBV and inequality in the workplace, gender mainstreaming, climate, gender justice, all those aspects are very prominent in that aspect of my life. So yes, I would say there's so much with regards to gender equality and the stance against gender-based violence and femicide that forms part of my life on a daily basis, whether it is in business, whether it is as a UNGC member, whether it is as the National Champion for Women, whether it is as the founder for WIN, Women Integral Impact Network. It is just all about looking how we can improve life in future for women, how we can change legislation and approaches and our construct on how we as society view gender roles that forms part of my daily life. And when you look at WIN, We've got over 80,000 members at this time, extremely active in KwaZulu-Natal and the Eastern Cape, very successfully there, and Soweto, where we really talk to women about the judicial changes, the changes to the four GBV Acts, personal wellness, mental wellness, and form coalitions with other organizations to create a mentorship base for women to approach when they go into either opening a small business unit or when they have to function in a tough corporate environment. So our outreach is national. We are not a community-based organization. We are a national outreach from our championship to the Department of Justice. And we work with community-based organizations, and our aim is to empower them as well with knowledge and to encourage them to become more sustainable and to not be grant dependent, and showing them different models of doing that. That is really what I would like to see, is to see women heal from their circumstances, to see women talk, to honor themselves, and to find platforms that we, for instance, can advise and can encourage. Win is currently driving 39 national WhatsApp advisory platforms where we do that. We have professional women on board, and we've got lay women on board, we've got business women on board. So there's a very wide length of advice that is offered in these platforms, and myself having educated through various international institutions on trauma, and still continuing my studies related to trauma with both the US and Cambridge in the UK. We can even advise women when they're dealing with loss. And that is the ultimate vision, is to be a supportive network of women. WIN has got male members, men working in the GBV space. We are very proud to be associated with the Royal Council of the Zulu Nation. We had a very close relationship with King Zwelithini, and we intend to build on that relationship and capitalize on it with the new king, so that we can create great impact for the women of KwaZulu-Natal, for instance. Other than that, with regards to the Gender-Based Violence Amendment Acts, I would encourage women to look at the Department of Justice's website and to see all the links which cover those. We are currently, and we have been, in the Department of Justice, Pillar 3 of the NSP, involved with an online series of summits or online sessions explaining the amendments to the GBV Acts, but also addressing all the various implications that it would have in terms of process at court, in terms of first responders in health, in terms of the changes and approaches with SAPS, making the amendments more victim-centric. And I invite everybody to go to the DOJ YouTube channel that deals with this summit and look at the videos. They're very valuable.
Thank you so much. I like the fact that you spoke about the WIN being a supportive network for women. Just in closing, I would like to understand why you got into this work. What's your drive and your passion behind all this?
You know, Hazel, I lost my first husband to the apartheid regime, which was a very cruel trauma experience. And it took me 6 years before I got involved with another person and my second husband eventually. And that relationship challenged me to understand generational violence. And in the beginning, it was all good and well, and we were together for a total of 20 years. And I would say the first 15 were actually quite happy and reasonable. But the thing with generational violence is when trouble, personal circumstances start to affect a person that has come from a line of people where generational violence is prevalent, they actually revert to that sort of behavior because that is the foundation of their upbringing. And it was the same for me. I've experienced violence in physical form, I've experienced political violence, I've experienced emotional violence, economic violence, psychological violence. There's not a form of violence, I think, in the GBV lens, in one way or another, that I does not have to deal with or experience myself personally. And I think it was natural in a way for me to progress and to eventually end up being the national champion to the Department of Justice. Just as I feel it is natural for me to take that experience and to take that healing and to understand women going through trauma, because you are not rational when you are traumatized, and to allow those women the different stages of healing, but also guide them so that they get focused and perspective. Because if a woman that is traumatized is not being guided and is not being given steps to heal, she will stay in that first phase of no trust, of creating drama about everything that confronts her forever. And that we need to stop. We need to empower women. We need to empower women to heal.
Thank you so much for your time and such a lovely story. We will continue this conversation for our viewers and our readers. We'll definitely take up your story, your personal story. Thank you so much, Francesca, for being on this show.
Thank you so much.